The adoption of policies is one of the crucial parts of the ANC conference as it outlines the party's guidelines to lead for the country in the next 5-year term. Let's discuss this further. Then we're now joined via Zoom by our regular guest here on SA Today, political analyst Dr. Ntsikelelo. Let's talk then about this. I mean, we know that this part of the conference is really important, but not just for the ANC, but in general for the country, as it's sort of a stepping stone or kind of highlights what the party will be doing going forward. What are your expectations, and what can the party do? What can the ANC do to improve the issue of implementation of its own policies following those adoptions?
Well, Flo, first of all, the conference did not start on time because things did not go according to plan, and therefore the conference was put on hold. It was adjourned. So today, I think they have resumed to consolidate policy matters that emanate from various commissions. So I think the key question for me is to whether, radical economic transformation as a political program of the ANC, is it going to be adopted again, or is it going to be retained, because the faction that advocated for that has been weakened because they have lost strategic positions. So is that policy going to be put on hold? Is it going to be dismissed, or what? I think that is very much important for me, because with that program, there are also subsets such as nationalization of the Reserve Bank, the issue of the land reform, and how to transfer the means of production to the majority, or how to entrench Black people in the commanding heights of the economy. So I think that has been a thorny issue. And given the fact that, the Ramaphosa faction, first of all, they never wanted to adopt that in the first place, but adopted that or gave in to that because there was a threat that was posed by the other faction that they were going to collapse the previous. So the question is, does that policy still stand, or what? Because that is very much central in terms of issues of employment, underdevelopment, and so and also, Flo, the issue of triple BE, there has been a refinement surrounding to that, the issue of national insurance policy. So I think those are the policies that come to mind, in my view.
Yeah. Dr. Breakfast, I mean, you raised a very interesting point about whether or not the policy of RET will be adopted again. What do you think would then replace it? Because I don't think anyone on either side would disagree with the fact that, economic transformation must happen. Is the issue the word radical? Is the problem the word radical? I mean, what would then replace, this particular policy of what was a policy of the ANC?
You know what, Flo, my view is that in as much as the ANC doesn't have a binding ideology, but at the heart of the ANC is the NDR, which is a two-stage theory, that you've got to have a revolution that is led by the bourgeoisie class, that is the face. But in the meantime, the working class must be made ready to take over. So that is the second transition. So I think we have fallen short in that regard, because if you look at our economy, we've got, almost arguably 4 banks which are dominant, ABSA, FNB, Nedbank, Standard Bank, and we don't have a bank that is owned by Black people. So that is, a matter which is very much central in terms of economic development. So I think that's where RET now comes in terms of how do we transfer the means of production to the majority. Maybe the concept of RET is problematic, or maybe it is having negative connotations because it is associated with a particular faction. But there is a need, though, to address the structure of the economy, because the means of production are in the hands of few. That's why people talk about the so-called white monopoly capital.
Yeah, and then the other contentious policy or resolution, the step aside resolution, which was adopted in the last policy conference, and I mean, we've seen that playing out, and has essentially split, the leadership of the organization on how it has been handled. What are your views on this one? Is this one that you think would be kept or not?
The step-aside principle is all well and good in theory, but in practice, it has been applied selectively.
Yeah.
Those who are aligned to a particular faction have been exempted from the step-aside principle. So that has been a thorny issue. But I think the Ramaphosa faction has won that debate because the step-aside principle was retained in the previous policy conference. So I don't think that there will be fundamental changes in that regard. There might be a slight refinement, but I don't think that it will be done away with. It is a good idea, Flo, because the ANC at the Zondo Commission was also on trial. Corruption is not just a buzzword, but corruption, embeds itself in the state. In fact, it permeates throughout the length and the breadth of this country. So I think in trying to, project the ANC as a party that is taking a stand against corruption, that's how the step-aside principle ushered in to try to showcase that the ANC is fundamentally against corruption.
All right, Dr. Ntsikelelo Breakfast, many thanks to you. We certainly do, as always, appreciate your time. That's political analyst and regular guest here on SA Today, Dr. Ntsikelelo Breakfast.